Recording in progress. Well, welcome everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for attending this special edition of Tuesday Takeover for Racial and Social Justice. My name is Michael Flores Castaneda. My pronouns are he, him, and I work in CTA's Human Rights Department, and I have the honor of moderating this panel today, and we will get to them, have them introduce themselves in just a moment. I do want to start with a land acknowledgement, and I wanted to acknowledge with respect that the land that I'm on today is the traditional and ancestral lands of the Nisenan tribe. I want to thank them and acknowledge them for being the original stewards of this land. We understand that colonization is an ongoing process, not just through the deforestation of land, but also gentrification of Black and Brown communities. And so we recognize the Nisenan tribe who continue to this day to fight to preserve their land and also their rich culture. And I do also, before we go any further, wanted to just take a moment to send love and thoughts to the community of Uvalde, Texas, the tragic shooting today, and just our hearts go out to the communities there in Texas. That being said, I also wanted to extend my gratitude and appreciation to this panel. This Tuesday Takeover was supposed to happen 2 weeks ago, and I had a family tragedy, and they all, in solidarity and compassion, opted to postpone it and have it today. So thank you all very much. And with that, let's get started. We are here today with the members of the Sacramento City Teachers Association Equity Team. I wanted to give you all congratulations, kudos on your huge strike victory. It was an honor to be there on the line with you. It was one of the best times I've had in my time here working with CTA. But also, in addition to your strike victory, congratulate you on your CTA Chapter Human Rights Award that you received. You won just before the strike started. So let's kick it off and have you all introduce yourselves and tell me what's your role in the district, and also why did you choose to get involved in this equity work? We'll start with you, Melanie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melanie Bean, and my pronouns are she, her. I work as a teacher on special assignment for English learners in our secondary sites, and I also work as the LGBTQ advocacy coordinator for my local and for Capital Service Center. I'm going to pass it over to Angela.
Hello, everyone. I'm Angela Jones, and I'm a fifth grade teacher. I serve as one of the elementary directors in our union. I'm also a part of Capital Service Center, and really glad to be here.
I'm Cara Seinhorst, and this is my 22nd year teaching, and I've been interested in issues of equity and social justice since my teens, at least. And so when the opportunity to join the team came up, I jumped on it.
I know we have many other members part of your equity team and who all chip in on this important work. So thank you all for being here after a very long day and week, school year. We were just talking earlier before we started. Some of us were at state council this weekend, and so we're all just rolling one day longer, one day stronger still, right? All right. So the next question is for Melanie. How has Sac City Teachers Association benefited from and also supported the work of your equity team?
So I was approached about 10 years ago to do some equity work for my local, and I said, sure. I didn't really know what it entailed, so I just did what I thought was the right thing to do. But as the years continued, I realized that, my voice wasn't the voice that needed to be heard. So when the opportunity came to do some collaboration, we decided that we should put together a team to do the work. And in that, some awesome things happened, that the work really did grow because, again, it's just my voice and I didn't see what I didn't see, right? So having other folks join really did benefit. We were able to put together some professional learning over last summer through bargaining. And Angela and Cara, you were both part of the bargaining process in terms of getting that taken care of, because our district did not want our local to have anything to do with our pre-service. They thought they knew what was best for our teachers, but our teachers really do confide in us and tell us what they want in terms of professional learning. And we created a half-day professional learning session that got a lot of really great feedback, and we're hoping to continue that this year. So with the collaboration of the bargaining team and the equity committee, we were able to push that out, and that's how we ended up winning the award in terms of like drawing on different groups and their strengths and drawing on the strengths of the community and our teachers, because we have teachers doing awesome work that really did need to be highlighted. So that has been a wonderful experience to be recognized for doing work that our district really didn't think that we could do, right? They didn't think that we were the professionals that we are. And to get that acknowledgement from CTA was amazing, especially when the district continues to fight us on providing professional learning to our colleagues. That was thankfully part of the new contract that was signed, that the district does have to consult with our equity team before putting out pre-service. And again, it was because of the work of the bargaining team and the equity team working in concert that was able to be, put into writing and signed off. And so that was a huge asset. And I'm just so thankful to the work that, everyone does, because we just have such a fantastic group in Sacramento.
Awesome. I love what you said about your voice being the only voice. Our department does a number of trainings so you want to be an anti-racist union with other local chapters around the state. And one thing that members are always asking for is more representation of LGBTQ and BIPOC members. So recently we went one step further, like, well, why is that important? And it was exactly what you just touched on, right? With only one perspective, you only get one input, and the more perspectives and experiences you bring into the mix, you just have that many more different takes on things that are issues and how we can address them. That's beautiful. I have one other question for you, Melanie. How did you first get started in doing this equity teamwork with Sac City?
So actually, it was going to conferences and learning what the role of an advocacy coordinator really does and what an equity team work should be. And so I really do recommend that everybody attend any of the conferences, because any conference does have sessions on the different advocacy coordinator roles and equity team work. And it was through collaboration with other locals that I realized I needed to grow the team. And I used the presentation that I received at the last training I went to that Megamato put on to put together our equity team, and realizing that we needed representation from various groups. So we had an application for the initial group, because we didn't want a large group to write the action plan. We wanted to start with an action plan and then grow the membership. And with the application, we tried to get a person from all of the different educational segments. We have one from preschool, elementary, middle, and high school. And we also tried to make sure that we had representation with our Black and Brown teachers, as well as our LGBTQ identified educators. So with the applications, we created a small group of about 5 people, and we just decided to start. Initially, Cara, didn't we? We were like meeting weekly or bi-monthly at that point. It was like very, at the beginning, we were meeting very frequently to get that action plan completed. And then when we finally got the action plan taken care of, we just did an all call. It's like, we need you. We need other people to actually move the work. So it did take, 6 months to a year to get to that point. But I think we've got a lot of great momentum, and I think Cara's going to be touching on that a little bit later on as well.
Beautiful. I love that you pointed that out. Like, this wasn't an overnight thing, right? The 6 months to a year. One of the reasons that we came up with this idea to have you all come and talk about the work you did that got you recognized to earn the Human Rights Award is because we have a number of chapters that either want to start an equity team or have just started and they don't quite know where to get started or what to do. And I think you've really, laid out a nice roadmap. Speaking of action plans, I know you shared yours with me about a year ago, and it was like the first one from a local chapter that I had ever seen. So I want to allow you or offer you now, if you wanted to put that in the chat for the attendees, to check out your Sac City Equity Team action plan that they can maybe, model theirs after. Take some, we're all good educators. We borrow from one another. Perfect. So, Cara, Melanie just alluded to it. Can you share what are some of the strategies that you've used to amplify the work on your team, get it out to your rest of your members?
Well, I think one of the first times I ever spoke to you was during our picket at Cernus Center. We had talked about having a little half sheet to sort of share the equity team's message. And so I had created that. I think Angela had it printed. And we had little QR codes and links to the calendar and things. And so we just gave those out by hand.
Brilliant.
Thanks. SCTA has also been sharing in their news messenger, their newsletter that goes to all members, about our work in every messenger that's come out for a year at least. Is that right, Melanie? Do you think? Yeah. But I think we are going a little bit, trying to reach our members more directly. We have the member spotlight form. So we're asking people to think about who at their site is doing important equity work that needs to be recognized. And so we have a Google form where we're collecting those. It's been a little slow start, but that's something we are hoping to keep rolling, that we can really think about equity and how we can recognize the good work people are doing. We do have a public calendar that, it's kind of here and there, people are looking at it, I think, but we're trying to put in community events and things that are important to our equity work. We make our Zoom meetings public now. A lot of people can join and participate and watch. We had a couple members join and then say they didn't have time for the full commitment, but wanted to know what was going on and wanted to contribute. And so that's something we've kind of made it accessible. And I'm kind of hoping that our next project, which is having t-shirts for Pride Month, will be something that will kind of get that in the spotlight in the public eye too.
Nice. I want to put my order in for that. Yes, I think it was like March 17th. It was the rally where Sac City kicked off or announced their strike vote. And we had, I don't know, thousands of people walking the picket line already that first day. And I saw you passing out this little half sheet flyer for come join our equity team. And I went to David and Nikki, your president, vice president, just thought that was the most brilliant idea. I wanted to mention them also. I know 2 weeks ago when we were supposed to have this, they were going to be part of this, and today they weren't able to. But I know that you have the full support of your chapter leadership, and that does go really far. And so with that, I actually want to switch to you, Angela. I know you serve as the liaison from the executive board rep council to the equity team. Can you talk about what your role is and how that's benefited the work as well?
Yeah, it has been a really great opportunity to serve as the liaison, because now there's this connectivity where what's happening on the board and what we're talking about, I can then go and share with the equity team and vice versa, to make sure that as a board, when we're looking at decisions and things that we do, that we look at it from an equity perspective and an equity lens. So bouncing things off and having those deep discussions with the equity team helps me to be bold enough and courageous enough, right, to go and step into this board to help them to see and realize the importance of equity and how to include and hear all of our members' voices. So it's been that bridge for the committee and for the board, so that when the equity team talks about putting on conferences or having members from CTA to come share with us, that we get their total buy-in, and then they can then publicize it and share it out in the messenger and get all the other teachers and staff involved as well. So it's really a piece that I think was missing between the two, the equity team and SCTA. And so I'm proud to serve as that liaison. And one of the things that I experienced as why we needed a representative on the equity team is we had our SCTA strike fund. And so I shared with the board, I want to make sure we're looking at those funds from an equitable perspective, that our Black and Brown teachers are receiving those awards too. And you know, that's what you have to do as a courageous leader, right? You have to have those tough conversations when you're in a process or a part of a group that doesn't always think or see it through that equity lens, right? And so I then went back and shared that with the equity team that, hey, our board will look at giving out those funds through an equity lens to make sure all of our members have an opportunity, right, to receive those funds. So it's been a really great learning experience. I got my experience from the EMED program as a graduate, being a courageous leader. I'm still learning, but what they have taught me has really inspired me to go ahead and be that courageous leader and speak my truth, right? Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Shout out to EMEID, Ethnic Minority Early Identification and Development Program, also part of Human Rights Department with CTA. And we have graduates from EMEID doing great things. I love that you say that, like, the equity team empowers you to go into the rep council and executive board to like push an equity lens. I think sometimes we see these things as different lanes, right? The equity team is doing the equity work and the bargaining team is doing bargaining work, and very rarely do they actually cross over.
Right.
Your position serves just that purpose. That's awesome.
So I want to touch a little bit on what Angela was talking about. I mean, she has been an amazing asset to the equity team because, again, she brings in information and experience that I just don't have. I've never been on the executive board. I don't understand how it works. And she comes in and she can just lay it out like, yes, we can do this. No, we can't. But because of Angela and, you know, her really advocating for looking at everything through an equity lens, that we were able to increase our budget because, you know, we really do, you know, where organizations put their money, that's their priority. And so we actually had an amazing increase of budget to be able to do this really important work because of Angela's advocacy and because, you know, our executive board is, you know, kind of turning the page of and reframing those conversations to make sure that all of our educators are being represented. So I really do value Angela as a team member, and she's just been such an asset. So I really do recommend having that liaison, or at least having, you know, folks from your executive board be part of the equity team to let you know what realistically you can and can't do.
And I see your hand, Karen, come right to you, but I definitely have to just echo what you said about the budget, because, you know, if you have the support, that's one thing, but if you're going to support it, you also have to fund it. We tell our districts the same thing, right? If you want to support these new programs, where's the money? From the service center to the local chapter level, if you want to support equity work, show us the money for it. Beautiful. Yes, Karen, did you want to add something?
I just wanted to kind of say, we had a recent planning day where we were talking about, you know, the direction that we're all going. And one of the things we said is, you know, your budget shows your priorities. And I think we need more, you know, budget here so we can do really good work, not just like make up surveys ourselves and things like that. And so David and Nikki, the president and vice president, came in at the end of that planning day and we said, you know, we think you need to increase the budget. And they were like, yeah, we already talked about it. You know, we've, it's quintupled. And okay. And you also touched on the other members like David and Nikki being a part of our team. And I just wanted to say for the record that they do sit in on almost every meeting, which is nice. It's nice to feel very supported and like that they're involved too.
That's fantastic. We do hear cases of other local chapters where it almost feels like the equity team is working at odds with their chapter leadership. And so it's nice to be in a place where not only are they supportive, but they're attending and they're fully in the loop of what's happening. That's fantastic work. Next question. for you, Melanie, can you share some of the struggles that you faced actually with getting this work started or even continuing it?
So
If
I
anybody
think
else has anything to add, sorry.
um, the major struggle for me, and it might be different from the other folks that are on the team, is that, our vision is dismantling white supremacy in our schools, in our classrooms, in education. And when we started using the words white supremacy, we got pushback from members. That was just not where they were prepared to go. And those were conversations that were very uncomfortable for them. And there were hurt feelings. We had to reestablish our group norms. We had to come up with like a consensus process. We had to come up with ways to have conversation that was, brave, but also making sure that we got the work done. And so I don't want to say that it kind of put us at a standstill. It didn't like make the work go backward, but we really did have to reevaluate whether or not the folks that had joined were really in a place to do this hard work and have these hard conversations. I realized as one of the advocacy coordinators that as a white woman, I shy away from conflict. It made me incredibly uncomfortable. I didn't know how to handle the situation. I probably handled it very poorly, but I was able to lean on the expertise of the other folks in the equity team to move us forward, because I was just like, I don't know what to do at this point. And so, I'm learning and I'm growing as well in this work, and realizing my own privilege and pushing myself to understand that conflict means growth, right? It's not something that I need to hide from. It's still very uncomfortable, and we still do have some conversations where we have to stop folks and have them realize that, their intent was not the impact. And those are some hard conversations to have, especially in Zoom. It's kind of like the text messaging. You don't really get the full picture of what's happening. So the team has grown and then shrunk down and then grown again with different members as folks realizing, maybe this wasn't where they needed to be right now. Does anybody have anything they want to add?
I think the question was the struggle, right, in this equity work. Well, what I've noticed in my time being on the equity team is getting more of my Black and Brown teachers to participate, right? Because as I talk to them, they have this disconnect that they don't believe in the union, or they've had some type of conflict, or they didn't feel support, right? And so now the struggle for me is to kind of reinvent what the union was, the leadership that was, and now there's new leadership. So give us another chance. And so that's kind of where I'm at with the struggle with teachers that I've known. I've been in the district. This is my 26th year as an educator, and I've known a lot of the teachers, and they've had that experience. And now, so my struggle is, let's rebuild together. I need you. Give it another opportunity. Let's give it another chance. Things are going to be different, but I need you to help me. I can't do the work alone. So that's been my struggle.
How do we show that we intend to do better if you don't, like, not even meet us halfway, but just give us the opportunity? Absolutely.
Right.
Cara?
Yeah, we had kind of a hard conversation about that a couple of weeks ago too, because we said the equity team has a lot of white ladies on it. It's not all white ladies, but it's a lot of white ladies. And one of the things we said is we'd love to have more Black and Brown teachers and nurses and psychologists and everybody else as part of the team, but also we don't want to rely on them to do all the labor. And asking them to do more on top of everything that people are already doing feels like a big ask. And so we're considering ways to do that, like listening sessions, And also maybe having like a consultancy type of position where you don't necessarily have to commit to coming to every meeting, but we can bounce ideas off of you, you know, so that we're not overburdening people with work, including emotional labor.
And also, you know, using some of our membership engagement funds to think outside of the box, and how do we engage members? How do we bring them to the table, but do it in a creative way, right? So they think they're coming for a party, but before we party, this is what we got to talk about, okay? And then we can party. So I think we have to be creative, and I'm hoping that the equity team, that we can brainstorm ways that we can be creative and get people to the table, and you know, that they feel like, oh, I want to be a part of that, and then we discuss the work that needs to be done, you know. So that's kind of where I hope that we kind of have those conversations.
Absolutely. As a chapter leader, I used to think about like the 1-2 punch. Like, yes, we'll have a social gathering, but at that gathering, you're going to hear about this training that we're having in a couple of weeks also, and we hope to see you there as well.
Right.
I also wanted to point out something that Melanie, you said that I thought was really critical: the need for meeting norms, right? How we relate and how we dialogue with one another, and at times you need to go back and revisit those. I think that's really key, and I'm glad that you had the foresight to lay those out at the very beginning. I appreciate that.
And also, you know, on the equity team, we talked about, you're going to experience some frustration, some discomfort, and that's okay, because that's where you grow. And I think that's where we got to get our members to realize too. Yes, in this equity work that we have to do, we will feel discomfort. You know, we will question our beliefs and our systems, and that's okay, because that's how we're going to grow.
I think we have to. I think, you know, sometimes we see organizing as only things for like, you know, salary contract wins, but I think even doing racial and social justice work is also organize our members. And so the same way that we have to listen continuously as we're plan, act, evaluate, right? The same thing when we're having a racial justice action plan, we've got to listen to our members and see where they are. And maybe we need to go back and bring them up to speed or remediate them on some topics. I think you all are doing fantastic work. Cara, what are some of the projects y'all are working on for this next coming year?
I'm very excited to tell you about that. You know, the big one was last year we were really excited to get to do the pre-service training. And it was something that we put together. I don't want to say last minute, but, you know, we were under kind of a time pressure. And this year we have a lot more time to prepare and plan. I'm already kind of drafting what I'd like to contribute. And so I think we can be really thoughtful about that. It was something that, you know, we got feedback from, and our members seemed to benefit from and enjoy. So that was great. We're definitely going to be involved in Sacramento Pride celebrations. And we're getting, I think, t-shirts printed with the Progress Pride flag that will sell as fundraisers to help some of our youth go to Pride to pay for tickets. That's still in the works, I promise. We're going to be part of the NEA Black Caucus Leadership Conference. We're going to the Dismantling White Supremacy Culture in Schools Conference. And at least in our planning session, we were thinking about getting ways to get that training expanded to even more members, like bringing it to Rep Council, which is a large number of people in our union. I think that's kind of the main stuff that's coming up. Did I miss anything, Melanie?
I do want to say June 3rd, we have our annual picnic. And so one of the things, the idea is having our own equity table, right? With t-shirts, with flyers, with, you know, we're trying to spotlight our members. And so that's an opportunity for us to have a spotlight sheet right there. They can spotlight themselves right there and turn it in. And we can have 12. We'll have them all ready for the year. So, you know,
Do 2 a month.
yes, we'll have them already. You know, hey, come on, spotlight. Tell me something about yourself. They can fill out that form, and they can tell me about themselves, and I can type it up, and there we go. We already have September and October ready to go in the messenger. They're going to be there, right? So you might as well jump on the bandwagon and get it done.
Something that's awesome about our picnic, which, you know, they do yearly, but because of the contract negotiations this year, we're doing it in concert with SEIU. So it's going to be a fantastic opportunity to join together with everyone in our district, you know, not just the teachers, but, you know, the folks that actually make the school run. So that's an awesome idea, Angela. I'm glad you brought it up. We'll get started on that.
Yeah. Well, I will be looking for my invite, number one. But the other thing that I think you might have missed, Cara, is that we have a school board election coming up this November, and that is also heavily equity work, right? Because we need to do some work to get our school board trustees to listen to our Sac City community, parents and students included. And I do want to just talk about briefly, I know Melanie and I had a chance to talk about your PD days that you won through your contract negotiations. I wanted to offer my support, the support of our department, but also our human rights cadre training. So don't feel that you have to write everything from the ground up, right? We've got resources available to you, as I know that you're all already well in tune with, you know, resources from CTA, but we're happy to support however, and it sounds like we have some time to do that as well.
Yeah, I wanted to say one thing that we did talk about at our last equity meeting was having a summer planning session. And we would love for you, Michael, to help to guide us as we wanted to plan out the year, this incoming year, and what. So we will definitely be reaching out to you once we get our date secured.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that soon. Let's get them secured soon also. And I see Melanie put in the chat, I do want to uplift for those folks who might be joining via Facebook or anywhere else. Join us for Sacramento Pride on June 12th. I understand it's the Capitol Mall. Cara, go ahead. You have something else?
Well, I just wanted to say, because he's officially endorsed by CTA, I think we should just say Mo Kashmiri's name. Yes. Our students deserve Mo. So if you have not yet turned in your ballot, Mo Kashmiri for SCOE.
There you go, CTA endorsed candidate for Sac City, no, sorry, not Sac City, County Office of Ed, yes?
Yes.
Beautiful. I see some of your members out there canvassing on the weekends also. I do not have any questions in the chat unless any of y'all have anything else that you feel that you need to get out there to those viewing at home or for archived for later viewing purposes. Otherwise, like I told you, I'll sleep tonight just fine if we finish early. All right, well, with that, thank you very much for participating today. I appreciate your time and your energy and all the work that you do on behalf of our students and parents in our communities, especially our underserved Black and Brown and LGBTQ BIPOC communities. I appreciate that very much. Thank you for being here. And congratulations again on your strike victory and your CTA Human Rights Award. Continue the great work.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And again, thank you, Michael, for your continued support. I mean, you are now an official member of our local.
Absolutely. I got the t-shirt and all. All right.
All right, y'all. I'll see you tomorrow morning, Cara.
Bye-bye.